What's up everyone, Michael aka Spirit Shard here with something of a roundup, a conclusion, a decider of what games I found to be top in 2014. Not the best of new releases, but rather the top games I enjoyed this year. I personally don't get to try out a lot of new releases or new titles, and honestly, a lot of new titles don't always interest me. So instead of going in and just listing all the new games I happened to try, which was actually only 6 games when I checked my list, I decided to look back on the year and find what games made me most jiggly inside. There's only one rule to this list. I had to have played it this year for at least 4 hours. Oh, and I guess I had to have fun too. That sounds kind of important. Here is my top 10 games played of 2014. What has explosions, pretty objects, water, and a simple variety of cats? Number 10 does. BattleBlock Theater is a game I can't help but smile the whole way through. It's just fun in every respect. The art style, the humorous story, the hilarious narration, the strange animations, and especially the gameplay is just crazy enjoyable. This puzzle platformer is a gem, even more priceless than those you collect not to get brutally murdered by obviously evil cats. The great level design of the core game is what really had me coming back, with what seems to be endless collectibles found within the core game. And that's not even touching the community-made content, which is a whole new game waiting to be explored. It also hopes that BattleBlock Theater is great fun with friends as well, even if they'll never trust me with fire, ever again. Sonic? Well, of course, but maybe not the one you're thinking of for number 9.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform!
The announcer got the name, no reason to repeat it. Whatever, I'll say it anyways. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed! Sonic Racing is my go-to family game and can be some amazing fun when you can get some friends to play. But this isn't only a family game. With the focus on speed and a surprisingly high skill ceiling, racing on land, water, and air can prove to be quite challenging. The AI is unforgiving at higher difficulties, and the challenges presented in the main game is really what makes this an amazing title. It's a game anyone can play, but it allows those skillful enough to charge ahead. Even unlocking everything isn't an easy task. Although you can unlock all characters and tracks by only completing the challenges on B rank, which is essentially normal mode, you'll have to complete a large majority on S rank to unlock all the challenges, and trust me, it's easier said than done. Maybe someday I can complete those final challenges on Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Someday. As in probably never. Number 8 is a game I originally played on console, but just couldn't stay away from on PC. Dust: An Elysian Tale was a day one buy for me when I saw it on the Xbox Live Marketplace so long ago. I didn't play very many indie games back then. Being a console gamer, that kind of made sense, and so few titles made it onto the boxes. It was also an easy to miss title, but I'm glad I happened to catch it when it released because I absolutely love this game. The artwork looks fantastic, the animations are fluid, the story is interesting, and dialogue is comical in all the right ways. But what really sells this 2D action RPG in the Metroidvania subgenre is the gameplay. This is one of the most responsive 2D action games I have ever played. Although all the systems are simple, it allows you to easily use what is best for any situation, and finding all those secrets still feels rewarding after 100% playthrough. Also add in the fact that it's not often that you can see a flying, fluffy, cat-like thing shoot fireballs, which turn into flame pillars? Yeah, it's quite effective. Who likes gunblades? I like gunblades, and so does the protagonist of number 7. Yep, I didn't put 7 in this slot. Deal with it. And honestly though, Final Fantasy XIII and 13-2 are my favorites out of the entire Final Fantasy franchise. These are the games that reminded me why I enjoyed large fantasy titles with the incredible world it holds and the complex stories told. The games in which give you that special feeling of unexplainable wonder are few and far between, but even to this day, 13's world still has me with that feeling from start to finish. It also helps that the gameplay is just straight up fun to play. The new system shift from attack and health spam to a focus on paradigms and strategy shifts keep me engaged for every fight, and a quick pace only makes it better. Now that I'm playing through it again on PC, I can explore through my favorite JRPG of all time, Final Fantasy XIII-2, and finally complete all the extra challenges. And also dance to the Chocobo theme, because it's awesome. Don't judge me. If I was any more of a ninja, I would do what number 6 does. Then probably fall off a roof. Mirror's Edge is a game I waited way too long to play. It was always on my wish list, but I just never got around to picking it up until recently, and wow, I was missing out on so much. It's hard to argue with why someone would have fun with Mirror's Edge. The simple yet somehow realistic art direction combined with the futuristic setting makes this game fun to watch, but the gameplay is really what holds this game to the ground, or rather the air as you jump between rooftops and dropkick guns out of blue hands. The smooth free-running mechanics combined with the, what I would call, real-time environment puzzles make this a one-of-a-kind. I've never felt like more of a ninja than when I'm jumping between walls, sliding off into a blue and picking up his gun in the same sweep, dodging helicopter fire as I return blasts to disarm the SWAT group, guarding my next exit, then wall sliding over their heads, and disappearing off the side of the building. It would be fun to watch this game from a third-person perspective after the fact. Speaking of environment puzzles, number 5 is all about them. Trine is one of those games I had seen several times but never actually understood what it was until I played it. After starting up the game and getting into the levels, I instantly fell in love with this action puzzle-like game. Not only is it the best looking 2D game I've ever seen with its magnificent environments and impressive light placement, but it's also quite fun to play. I don't really understand why it's fun though. I can't exactly pinpoint why, but I think that's okay. The whole game feels so full of wonder. Exploring this fantasy realm and uncovering the story behind it feels relaxing yet exciting, all at the same time. I also like the way the puzzles are built. You can end up using multiple different tools for the same type of puzzle, and collecting little vials of experience and such is quite rewarding when you figure out a way that doesn't seem too obvious to actually catch it. It may be hard to explain why it's fun, but I doubt many would argue with me. Also, Archer for life. No one takes my Archer. Except for the depths of obvious pits I always tend to fall down. If there is ever a game about morals, it would be number 4. Sure, in the reboot of Devil May Cry, you play as Dante, who, without a doubt, has some moral issues in most people's eyes. But think about it. Dante doesn't kill people, he just brutally massacres demons who do kill people. Devil May Cry is one of the most responsive third-person action games I have ever played, and is easily one of my favorites as well. The swapping between weapons is super fluent once you get the hang of it, and the ability to grapple enemies to you or reverse and pull yourself to them means there's not a single moment in combat spent running around towards enemies. The progression system and challenges are also well done. There are keys scattered throughout the entire game, and the challenge rooms they open can prove to be, well, challenging. The progression system also makes it feel like you're never wasting your time in replaying levels since it's rather time consuming to max. But then again, who cares about progression? Smashing his demon's face into a moving train has never been this satisfying. Number 3. A game so obviously going to be on my list you should be surprised it's not number 1. I'll admit it, I'm a huge Sonic fan, but even I think there have been some pretty terrible Sonic games in the past. Luckily, Sonic Generations isn't a bad game. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Generations does everything right between both the 2D and 3D games. Generations is a compilation of levels throughout the entire main series, completely remastered and recreated, exception being the first 3 games, which received the visual upgrade but remain practically the same gameplay-wise. Playing through these levels is the best Sonic experience to date. Just as Sonic levels have always been known for, each level introduces something new, and all levels are fast, fluent, and with multiple pathways scattered throughout each level, with the optimal path being obviously the target. The controls are smooth as well. Classic Sonic controls just how you remembered it, and 3D Sonic brings in all his old tools. Generations also brings back challenges, some of which feature Sonic's friends, and each challenge introduces a new mechanic to work with. Overall, Sonic Generations is just a great game, and City Escape has never looked better. Poor cars. In the list of occupations I would probably never be able to do, number 2 is one of them. Okay, maybe I could. Well, maybe not the archaeologist part, but the rating of tombs I probably could. The rest though, no way, I'd be terrified. Tomb Raider is an excellent game and displays what all AAA releases should be. I enjoy everything in Tomb Raider. The graphics are absolutely amazing and it runs extremely well. It has been a long time since I've seen a game wow me to this extent in a long time, and the gameplay is even more amazement. The navigation is smooth, the action sequences feel fluid, and the combat is an incredible third-person shooter. That said though, there isn't much tomb raiding to be done. But to me, that's perfectly fine because every time you find a tomb it feels special and the puzzles within never dole out. The puzzles are also quite challenging to figure out. They require a decent amount of thought, and some require some skill to complete. Overall, the one thing that keeps me coming back to Tomb Raider is the locations it takes place in. The environment is just crafted so well, and each new location is a whole new discovery. Even going back to previous areas in the game is fun. Exploring and finding those secrets is still rewarding. I just wish all AAA titles could be this amazing. And now, with all my undying love, what is the #1 game I played for 2014? If you've ever played Freedom Planet or seen me play it, this shouldn't be a surprise. This game is absolutely everything I love about momentum and combat platformers all put into one. In fact, the only franchise I can think of that does even anything remotely similar is Sonic the Hedgehog, and Freedom Planet is a very different game. The graphics call upon some of the best pixel graphics I've ever seen, and it holds up extremely well at high speeds. Freedom Planet takes a lot of tips from the Sonic and Ristar series, and it shows in its design in a very positive way. There are alternate paths with optimal ways in each level introduces a new mechanic, and each level feels unique with new scenery, new enemies, and overall different structure. There are 3 characters, all of which play completely different than the other. Of course, each character can go fast, but their special skills, such as Lilac being able to burst forward and destructive twirl, or Carol who can wall jump, creates new ways to complete each level and ends up in almost completely different experiences. There's just so much to love about Freedom Planet, and I have way too much fun playing it. So much in fact, I ended up recording 3 hours of footage just for this top 10. I really need to learn some self-control. So there's my top 10 games played of 2014. It was a long year for me, but I was lucky to find time in between everything to be able to try out so many amazing games this year, and so many I wanted to put on this list. Even if some people saw this year as lacking in true games, remember, there are so many games out there that the media doesn't show, so many indie titles that never get seen, and so many games in the past worth going back to. And with that, I'm gonna go back to playing some Freedom Planet. But before you go, make sure to leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite games of 2014 were. Did you get into a lot of new releases, or did you enjoy some classics? I would love to hear everyone's thoughts and maybe get some recommendations. Anyways, this has been Michael aka Spearshard with the top 10, my very first top 10 actually. I'll see you guys next year, and Happy New Year!